schools, and education is so important in our society that they would try and, really make it the best thing as possible. Well, no, they don't. Since people that have nothing to do with public education and they don't really know anything about public education are in charge of it, like the governor, who just cut $88 million out of the education budget, none of which, gladly came from the K through 12 budget, but all of it went from the college budget, so scholarships and stuff are going to be really tight next year. And our commissioner, Maggie Vanderveeden, I don't know her name. She was a teacher for 7 years, so she kind of knows what she's doing, but all she does now, from 2002 to present day, is she sits behind a desk and she looks at test scores from the schools and decides who gets funding. So, a lot of this is a big problem, seeing as when you start cutting things, like budget cuts. You cut the fine arts, like our fine arts department just got a major cut and we're losing a lot of our good teachers. A lot of schools, they can't afford the arts, so they just cut them back, and they don't have a lot of bands don't have the right equipment to do anything and to teach their students properly. And then the sports start going, so students stop losing the opportunity to do sports, which loses the opportunity to get scholarships later on. Some schools, like my high school, we actually cut a lot of our courses as soon as we got budget cuts, like all the home ec classes, and our shop class went, and just pretty much if it wasn't a core class that there was a test for, they cut it. Scholarships are obviously one of the first things to go. And then once, it comes down to it, they stop paying the teachers as much. They stop giving them their raises, which makes the teachers not want to come to school. And they stop caring about their jobs, which means the students aren't getting the best education that they could. Another part of that is tenure, which is after a teacher's been teaching the same school for at least 5 to 10 years, it makes it almost impossible to get rid of the teacher because of this law. So, for example, I had a teacher in high school who got tenure and then literally watched parkour videos and played with laser pointers the entire year instead of doing actual science. So, it really does actually affect teachers, but a lot of the lawmakers are like, hey, we just appeased all of the teaching unions, so what do we care? Nobody's gonna care, right? It shuts up the unions, the students aren't gonna say anything because hey, they're just playing around in class notes, teachers don't care. Also, standardized testing. When teachers, they're handed a book and it's hey, you have to teach everything in this, and if your students go get high enough scores, then we're going to stop paying you as much because you're not worth as much. So it teaches teachers that it's okay, we're going to teach them how to memorize this material just so they can pass the test, so I can get paid more, and also so the school can get more funding so I can get paid more. Solutions, just petition the government, go to actual meetings and stuff, and try to get them to stop cutting from education, because it really does affect the students and stuff. In all honesty, if we could eliminate tenure, I'm going into education, and I'm still we need to get rid of this, because it really does make teachers stop caring. And cutting all the EOCs and the map testing so we can stop teaching for tests and actually teach for the students to learn and to absorb everything so they know the stuff for later on in life. Obviously, things like the ACT are needed to get into college so they know where to put you and stuff. But most of these other tests are just complete crap, and companies like McGraw-Hill are just pocketing off of it in person, because those are both the ones that create the EOC and map testing, and on average school pays them $1 million per year to get all of the tests. So in conclusion, we really do need to step up into our government, especially if you're going into education, or if you want to get the best education as possible, to get involved, start petitioning things when they propose these big budget cuts to education, start telling them hey, no, let's cut something else that's really dumb that they're paying for. And